The worst date that I've ever had in 4.5 years of trying to find a partner and love. So Saturday, this past Saturday, which was March the 29th, I had a date. It was a first meeting with a gentleman with whom I've been communicating on one of the apps. It was a different app about 2 years ago. So we just never got together. But this time he said, let's go. And I said, okay, let's see where this leads. We decided to have lunch at a really nice upscale restaurant in San Antonio. My sister and her husband said, no problem, we'd love to go. We can drop you off and do some shopping, walk the river walk, blah, blah, blah. It was perfect. So we met at 2:00 outside. My sister and her boyfriend were in such a hurry. There was a lot of traffic downtown. And so in my haste to get out and tell them, okay, be back in 2 hours, blah, 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 I left my phone in the back seat of the car. I just grabbed a little purse, a tiny little purse with what I thought was my phone, some chapstick, a credit card. So then they left and I walked to the front of the restaurant. He's out there. We say hello, blah, blah, blah. We take a seat, just, the usual bullshit to get to know somebody. How are you doing? So this should have been a red flag for me right from the beginning. When he asked, how are you doing? Tell me a little bit about yourself. It's great to meet you and see you in person, as opposed to just the pictures and the communicating on the dating app. And so I started talking, and when he gave me maybe a few seconds to respond to his questions, and he responded. So for every question that he asked, he was doing a one-up. I can one-up you on that. Okay? Very successful man, very successful, 3 grown daughters. They're married, they're successful in their own right, blah, 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 blah. I have this, I go here, blah, blah, blah. So at that point I thought, okay, ask the questions. He doesn't let me talk. He's talking about himself. Now I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. So, my son says to me in the past, he always says, Mom, don't think the worst from the beginning. Okay, so I thought, okay, well, I came all this way. I took a lot of time getting dressed to make a good impression. He was wearing sneakers and just basic clothes, even though it was a really nice place. But I thought, you know what? Maybe he's nervous. And this is why he's talking so freaking much and not giving me a second to respond to the questions that he's asking. Anyway, we got our drinks. I had a lemonade. It was warm, beautiful day outside. And so we continued trying to talk, and I listened. I listened and I did some people watching while he was talking, and he finally said, oh, I've talked enough. Now it's your turn. And I said, okay, thank you. What do you want to know? So he asked about my children. He asked, the usual, as I said before, the usual bullshit chit chat. And so I answered the questions, and I really wanted to have our order taken because I was hungry, and I knew that my sister was not going to wait 1 single minute over 2 hours. And that restaurant, it was pretty packed. And what we ordered, because I wanted steak, what we ordered I knew would take a while. And so I thought, okay, let me quickly answer the questions, blah, blah, blah. And so, he got to know me. He asked me some questions. How long have you been single? What are your goals on this side? Blah, blah, blah. So it went, after I spoke, I felt like it went, it was an equal balance. your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. So we went back and forth, and it was fine until he started talking about a group of people that walked into the restaurant very nicely dressed. I mean, the wife was wearing some beautiful leather shoes and a beautiful matching handbag, and her hair was, I mean, she was dressed to the nines. And her husband, I assumed he was her husband, looked really handsome in a sports coat. He took the time so much more than my date to dress up. So this couple with two grown children walked in, and they sat not too far from us, but they walked by our table. And he started saying, those people. And I thought, what? Okay, it must have been just me. I must have been taking a gulp of my lemonade and thought I heard something else. No, it wasn't an error. It was exactly what I heard him say, those people. And I said, what do you mean, those people? And he said, those people that just walked by. And he started on a rampage. I think you call it a rampage because my mouth flew open, and I'm sure I was doing this because I was shocked at every negative, ugly, vulgar thing he started to say about those people. And then he added fuel to the fire when he asked me, where are you from? Where are your parents from? My parents were born here. He did this. Wow, you're so light-skinned. You're lighter skinned than I am. Yeah, it appears so. Look at the color of your eyes. And you're Mexican? That's what I did. And I said, that's part of my race, Mexican, but I've got other blood running through my veins. And then he said, oh yeah, those Mexicans. Oh my gosh, you guys, those Mexicans. And then he said, the wall and the immigrants and this country. And I thought, I hope this man stops talking right this second, or he needs to change the subject. So I changed the subject, and I asked him about his job, his businesses, plural businesses. And he said, oh yeah, I worked my way up, and I didn't have nothing when I started out, and now I have this and this, and those Mexicans, they're really great workers, but they do. I reached over and I said to him, because it was a very nice restaurant and I was dressed very nicely with my hair made, and I had makeup on, and there were people around us, and I reached out over the table and I touched his hand and I said, sweetheart, do you realize that I am part of that Mexican group that you're talking about, even though I was born in this freaking country? Oh yeah, but your family was from here. And he tried to play it off. And I said, you know what? Let's change the subject. I don't want this to get ugly. Just change the subject. Let's talk about something else. What are your aspirations? Well, I already got everything. I can retire tomorrow, but I just love to work, and I love money, and I said, okay, that's great. And congratulations. I'm happy for you. So he went on to tell me who he knew in politics and who attended his youngest daughter's wedding, somebody from the Texas government, and on and on. And I thought, you know what? This is getting worse. This is getting worse. What would my kids do? What will my kids do? My daughter would say something and my son something else, something different. So I said, you know what? Let's talk about something else. Let's order. I'm really hungry. I skipped breakfast. I haven't had anything to eat. And I said this because I was getting so uncomfortable and also so freaking pissed. I was getting pissed at what this man was saying. So here on this video, I don't want to use the R word, but I'm going to use the word bigot. Bigot. He is the epitome of bigot. And my mind was going and whirling. I didn't know how to get out of there quick enough. But I thought, you know what? Darn it, I'm going to eat this steak and enjoy this meal. I came all this way, put all this effort. Maybe he will shut the hell up and talk about more bullshit, but not his views on other cultures, other people. So then our waitress, she walked by and she forgot to stop at our table. Then he started saying stuff about her. She was Chicana. She was born in this country. I could tell because she had already come and taken our drink orders. So he started saying, oh, does she expect to get a tip? Oh, she just walked right by us. Who does she think she is? Didn't she see my hand up? And I said, excuse me 1 second. So what I did was I went to the restroom and I opened my purse, my little coin purse / clutch, whatever. And guys, guess what happened? I didn't have my freaking phone. I didn't have my phone in there. My sister was, when they dropped me off, they were right in a no parking zone right in front of the restaurant. And she's like, hurry, 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 get off the car, hurry, 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 hurry. I didn't check, I wasn't careful. And so I left my phone in her car. She sped away. I didn't check my purse before she left. And so I was in the restroom with an empty purse. All I had in there was lip gloss and a credit card. And I thought, oh my freaking goodness, what the hell am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? I don't know my kids' phone numbers. I don't know anyone of my family. I don't know any of my friends' phone numbers by heart. The only phone number that I know by heart is my ex-husband's. What the hell is that about? I don't know. And I said, what the frick am I going to do? I'm in this restroom. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm wondering who to call, how to get the hell out of this restaurant because I cannot stand one more second of this man across from me. This very successful, arrogant SOB. Talking about that only he's the best and whatever the hell he thinks. So I said, oh my gosh, I have to think quickly. He's probably wondering, did I escape through the window? I wish I could have. If I had my phone, I wouldn't have gone back to the table. I didn't have my phone. I didn't know who to call, who to ask. Who could I call if I didn't have anybody's numbers? My ex-husband is married. I can't call him to rescue me. Anyway, I went back to the table and he says, oh, you look really flushed there. Are you okay? Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure what happened. I'm really sweaty and I'm not feeling good. I'm just going to get some more ice water. He says, yeah, let me get the girl if she ever shows up. Blah, 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 blah. So guys, I felt like I was screwed. I was screwed sitting there across from this guy. And I just said, hey, why don't we talk about books you've read or movies you've seen or places you've been? Tell me about those. So, of course, he did. He shared his travel experiences, but he traveled to Mexico. That was the last place that he went in December. So that was what, 5 months ago? Yeah, it was a few months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. He traveled to Mexico, and all of his family, all of the adults, his 3 daughters and their spouses, they all traveled together. They were at this resort. It sounded phenomenal. But of course, who works at those resorts in Mexico, all over Mexico? Who works there? What stories do you think he started to tell me? When the stories began with complaints about his stay, he wasn't just happy about staying in a high-end luxury resort in Mexico. He had to complain about little shit that didn't matter. Anyway, you guys can imagine at this point, I wanted to throw up. I was feeling really pissed. I was fuming. I felt hot. I felt the anger rise from my belly to my chest to my head. I'm sure my face was the color of an apple, and I didn't know what the hell to do. So I said, just like, I'm not feeling good. I may have to go to the ER. He said, yeah, your face is really red. What happened? Was it, you haven't even touched your food? I said, I don't know. I'm really not sure. And so I said, I need some fresh air. And so he says, well, do you think it's a good idea for us to leave our food here? Because if you walk out, do you want to go out by yourself to the front of the restaurant? I said, yeah, just give me a minute. It's kind of stuffy in here and I'm just not feeling well. So I walked out and I just took a deep breath and I thought, Lord, have mercy. How can I get a hold of my sister? How can I get a hold of my sister? So needless to say, I sat there for, I want to say about 15 minutes. And then after about that time, he comes out and he says, are you okay? And I said, I'm really not. He says, well, did you call your sister to come pick you up? And I said, I can't call my sister. He says, why? What happened with your sister? And I said, well, I forgot my phone in her car and I don't have a way to call her. And he says, well, you could use my phone. And I told him the story, how I don't remember anyone's phone number, and that, could he just, if he wanted to enjoy his meal. I didn't want to go back inside. I was not feeling well, and I don't want to make I don't want to embarrass myself if I go back in there and get sick. So he says, yeah, sure. Let me go take care of things in there. Guys, this was the worst date I've ever been on. I did not return to the table. I did not. He went in there, and I'm sure I told him, I reassured him, don't worry about me. I'm fine. It's so early. There's daylight. I'm okay. Enjoy the meal. Don't let it go to waste. Enjoy it. I'll be right here waiting, for a little while. I've got some time before my sister and her husband show up. So he went back inside. Oh, another thing. He does drink, which during communication on the app, he had said, I don't drink at all. Cold water, iced tea. Well, he drinks. During that time that he was just blabbing and going on and on and on, he had 3 margaritas. And I don't know what those are like because I don't drink. But 3 margaritas in 30 minutes, is that a lot? I think that's a lot. I think that was another red flag. Nonstop talking that doesn't shut his damn mouth, and then the drinking. So 2 things. Then the worst thing, the bigotry. Just the talking about other people who are not white. Okay, I said it. People on the internet say messed up shit all the time. Why can't I say the truth? You guys know that I speak the truth. Okay, I was floored I was floored by this man's behavior. I couldn't believe it. And I wondered, wow, so will I be that successful if I become a bigot? Would I be immensely, because he is immensely successful. Oh, another story that he shared with me while we were sitting in that time that my stomach was beginning to feel nauseous. A story said, yeah, my grandkids, they do the FHA, and I, when I buy my cattle, I go there and whatever, these different places all over the state, blah, blah, blah. He says, and there are different colored ribbons for the categories when you win. And I said, what does that mean? He says, well, I think blue is like premium, and then it goes down red, whatever colors. And he says, oh, the worst level is white ribbon. And I said, well, what's white ribbon? I've never been to a rodeo. I don't know about buying cattle. And he says, oh, it's the kids who, they get a ribbon because they participated, but not because their animal is good or should be in the running. And I said, oh, okay, well, I've never known, I've never attended a rodeo or whatever auction for animals. And he said, yeah, he says, I always buy the bottom. I always buy the bottom of the barrel. And I said, what does that mean? What do you mean you always buy the bottom of the barrel? And he says, well, those kids that participate, whose animals aren't great, I always buy their animals because I feel bad for them. They're trying, and they probably come from broken homes. And, so I always give them like $200 or $300. Are you freaking kidding me? And I said, does that make you feel good to give those kids from broken homes $200? And he says, well, I never keep the animal. I return the animal to them. I don't want their sorry animal. I feel bad about them, and I wanna help them out. And I said, let me give you some advice. So again, I reached over the table and I touched his hand and I said, have you ever read the Bible? I have not, and I'm not going to lie about it, but I do know this. There's a verse that says, I remember it during Lent because I heard it so often growing up. Don't let your left hand know what the right hand is doing, or don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. I said, I'm going to teach you something that you clearly have never learned. When you help somebody, when you think you're doing them a favor, when you give money to these kids from broken homes, I'm quoting you, this is what you said. When you do that, don't talk about your kindness. Don't publicize this on your Facebook or Instagram or whatever X platforms that you use. Don't do it. Yeah, I don't want to know what generosity does it make you feel better to help these kids from broken homes? Do you feel like a big man because you're giving them $200? And that paused him for, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds. And then he says, well, when I do good things, it comes back to me in tenfold. And I said, wow, that's great. That's great. You're talking about helping out these kids from broken homes because you're a great guy, but you're telling me, and I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way the story sounds. I'm glad that you think that you're a good person. I am glad that you think that by giving these kids from broken homes some money for their animal, which I'm sure they have taken great pains to raise, to feed, to enter into these contests. So good for you for thinking that you've done a great job. But, the next date that you have, don't tell her about it. It doesn't matter. The only person that needs to know what great deeds you've done is yourself or the good Lord. So that turned me off. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see where this is going? This date went straight to shit. Absolute shit. And he was just so proud to talk about this and that and the other, and those other people, and those kids from broken homes. What kind of a person is he really? Like, I don't know. I couldn't. So anyway, when I was outside on the bench getting some fresh air, enjoying the people watching, he must have ordered a fourth margarita. I don't even know. I stopped counting the time that he was in there. I was relieved that he didn't come back quickly. So he did manage to pack up my steak and all, but I didn't go back in there. And let me tell you, when he comes back out here to wait with me, at this point, maybe there was about 20 minutes left until my sister pulled up. Those were the longest 20 minutes that I have ever spent with a person that I do not like. I don't like this man. I don't like him. I don't like what he stands for. And I don't like his beliefs. And I hate, and I know that word is very strong, and I tell my kids don't ever use that word hate because it is very strong. Detest him as a person. Actually, I don't, because I won't ever see him again, but his attitude, his behavior, his arrogance just threw me off. And I was really, the word disgusted. I was disgusted. By the grace of God and the universe, my sister, she always, one thing about her is her timing is always perfect. Like, she's always the first one at work. And when she has to do a favor or pick something up or do something, she's always early. So she pulled up probably about 6 or 7 minutes after that idiot. I'm going to call him an idiot. I don't even care. I don't care. Maybe he'll watch this video and listen to my words and think about, wow, I'm really a piece of shit, aren't I? Maybe he'll find me on YouTube and listen to this, but if he doesn't, that's fine. So she pulled up. My sister pulled up and she saw me. Her husband was driving the car and they pulled up so close, to where I was sitting, and her eyes got as big as saucers. She probably was shocked to see me out there, or the fact that I hadn't called her. And she immediately got off the car. She said, "Leti, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine, but I'm not feeling great." She says, "Well, get in the car." And I said, "See you later. See you later." I dashed off. No hug, no call me, none of that bullshit. So I told my sister and her man what happened, and they were both shocked into silence. Like, we drove from San Antonio all the way back to Austin, and like they said, "Are you sure he really said that?" No freaking way. "Oh man, I can't believe you sat across from him that long." I said, "It wasn't that long. I was across from him maybe 20 minutes, tops 30 minutes. And so they were just shocked all the way home. All the way home, they were continuously asking me, "Are you sure? Where did you meet him?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I met him on an app, on a dating app, and he seemed nice. We had been communicating on and off for 2 years, and he seemed nice. And, only this week we had to exchange phone numbers and blah, 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 blah." Anyway, that was the worst freaking date I've ever had. Oh, let me tell you what happened Sunday. Sunday before noon, he texts me and says, "Hey, I've been calling you," which I saw that he had been calling me, but I was ignoring him. And he left a long message saying, oh, you can't quit me now. We just met. I really liked you. I thought things went well. I'm not sure what's happening. You couldn't have met somebody this quick. Why are you ignoring me? Blah, 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 blah. Like, you love hearing your own damn voice? Anyway, I listened to that message. I read his text. He kept texting all day Sunday. About 6 p.m., I was ready to respond to a text, the last message that I sent him. And so basically, I crafted an elegant, concise, very eloquent last text. When I sent it, I blocked him, which means I got the last word. Monday, I went back on the website and I blocked him. So no more contact, mister. And yeah, out of my life. Can you believe the arrogance? He still didn't get it. Oh, my stomach's growling, excuse me. He still didn't get it. It didn't dawn on him why I may have been turned off by him. I did say to him while we were at lunch, hey, those are my people. You're talking about me. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Mexicans. I said, well, what do you think? I'm part Mexican here. That's like, you don't say that. This is our first date. You're talking too much about other races. He didn't get it. He did not get it. It did not sink into that thick freaking skull of his. And so he was persistent. I mean, that man is arrogant. He's arrogant. So arrogant. I can't believe that he's alone. He's been by himself now 6 years, somewhere. I stopped listening when my head started throbbing and that anger and that red feeling, fury started to rise up to my head, and I couldn't think straight after that. But that's the story of my date with this man that I will never see again. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, that was Saturday. Yesterday, you guys know that I tell it like it is. I'm talking about my own experiences. I do not pretend to be someone that I am not. So, my parents are older. They're on a fixed income. They're happy. I spend as much time with them as I possibly can. So yesterday, my daughter and I were in the area where my parents were having lunch at my dad's favorite restaurant. Imagine where that could be. Golden Corral of all places. He argues that there's so much of a variety and the food is great, which the food is good. It's decent. My dad likes it, so I don't argue with him. I'm thrilled and grateful that I get invited, for a meal that I'm not paying for, and I enjoy their company. So anyway, we were at Golden Corral. I got my first plate, and I was walking. It was noon, which was surprising that it was so empty. There were just a few people at the tables. Anyway, I was walking just with my plate in my hand and just kind of scanning the food. I wasn't too hungry. I was trying to decide what I wanted to eat. Anyway, I look up and I saw this man, and I did a double take. I looked up and we were walking right towards each other and our eyes locked and we just were walking towards each other. I hope my mouth was closed. I don't know what happened. I just felt like I felt frozen. And when he walked by me, he said, "Hey, how you doing?" Guess what I did? I regret it. I regret it even today, and I'm sure I will for a while. I smiled. I remember I smiled, but I did not open my mouth. I was just like Meg Ryan in that movie, You've Got Mail, where she's stumped and can't find an appropriate response until the very end. Anyway, I smiled at him. So we crossed paths, and I walked this way and he walked this way, but I could not help myself. I turned around to look at him again, and guess what? He was also looking at me, and he smiled. We smiled at each other again. So then I walked all the way down because I couldn't decide what I wanted to eat. I walked to the very end of the taco bar, I guess, and I was walking back again towards I was looking for sweet potato casserole, which is my favorite. I guess I missed it on the first time walking by. And who was walking towards me? He was walking towards me again and again. We sort of paused for maybe a millisecond next to each other or in front of each other. And again, he said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he had this amazing smile, these gorgeous brown eyes. And he had, what I remember is that his arms were like two huge tree trunks, and he was wearing a blue t-shirt, but his tattoos were on both sides all the way down to his elbows. And again, people, I froze. I just said hello like an idiot. I'm a grown woman. I'm an educated, very highly intelligent woman. And I just said hello like a dummy. He sort of chuckled at that, but I didn't know what else to say. I froze. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I had to get out of there. So I went to the casserole, and I grabbed a large portion. I went back, and my mom said, "Where have you been? We're almost done eating." I said, "Yeah, I couldn't decide, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, when I sat down, my daughter was sitting directly across from me. And then she dropped the man behind her dropped her crutch. So I got up and I picked up her crutch and I leaned it against the chair that was beside her. And when I sat back down, my gaze just happened to move right past her. He was sitting at a table down the hall, but he was facing me. So anytime that I sort of glanced to the right of my daughter, I could see him. And oh my gosh, guys, I should have gone up there. I should have talked to that guy. I should have talked to him. And I could tell that he was looking at me too, because they were sitting down, and I guess they finished eating. He and his two friends were there together, and we were at Golden Corral for nearly 2 hours, which means that we had already finished eating. I had 1 or 2 plates of food, and then I was done. I was ready, but I could see him, and I was getting nervous. And on our way out, I walked towards him, and I just waved, and he waved at me, but I didn't say a word to him. I didn't leave a piece of paper with my name and number. I didn't approach him. I didn't call him outside to talk to him for a second. I didn't get his name. I didn't do anything. I'm not sure what happened. Don't do that, people. When you see someone and you think that you guys just have a connection, you're not going to sleep with that person. But girls, don't let this happen to you. Guys, if you like someone, if this happens to you at a restaurant sometime, at Golden Corral or wherever you are, talk to the person. I regret it. I regret walking out. Then my parents and I, being the family that we are, we always take pictures outside the Golden Corral. So we were trying to adjust with the light, the better angle, blah, blah, blah. The hair, get the hair right. And I thought, okay, we are taking so freaking long out here. They're bound to come out. And that's my chance. That's my chance to talk to this interesting man that really caught my attention. I hadn't felt like this in I mean, this hadn't happened to me in years, where someone else and I, our eyes lock, and we seem to be kind of like interested in the other. That hadn't happened to me in years. So anyway, with all the time that we took about 20 pictures. We couldn't get it right. Hair was flying. I pulled the car around for my daughter because she's got her crutch and she has her injured leg. And even in that time, he didn't come outside. They didn't leave. So they were still inside, and I missed my opportunity. All that to say, I missed my opportunity to talk to that person that I could have had a date with tonight. And I don't know. He could have been the one. He could have been the one. This happens, people. It happens, folks. It happens. You meet somebody. He could have been the one. And I messed up. I effed up for not taking a chance, for not going out of my comfort zone, for not speaking up. I lost my chance with that guy. If you're out there, if you see this video, my name's Leticia. Look for me. Hit me up on YouTube. Anyway, I was disappointed in myself. I drove away feeling like, I don't know. I was so disappointed in myself for not talking to that guy. This is a lesson. The next time I run into someone, just like in the situation that I was in yesterday at Golden Corral, I will speak up. I will introduce myself. I may just leave a piece of paper with my name and phone number. I hope that this is always a single guy. I would never approach a married man. And I know sometimes people don't wear wedding rings, but anyway, next time I will not miss an opportunity to meet what appears to be a great guy. He smiled at me. He made eye contact. He spoke first. He was a gentleman. I felt a really good vibe from him. You know, it's that sixth sense that we have. That's our heart telling us. It's our gut telling us, you know what? That's a good guy. Talk to him. And I didn't. So don't make the mistake I made. Take an opportunity. Opportunities are everywhere. It's just a matter of opening our eyes and taking action, which I didn't take. And I feel bad for myself. I'm a dummy for not doing it, but never again. Thanks for listening. I hope that I entertained you tonight with all my stories. The bigot and maybe the one that I lost. Anyway, if you have any comments, include them in the comments. Write a comment. Write something. If you haven't already, I would appreciate a like. That makes me feel good. And subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends about me. I'm simply sharing my dating experience in this new chapter as an empty nester, as a single Latina with 3 big-ass dogs in a huge house in the Austin area. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. You can also reach out to me at my email, which is verquepasainlife@gmail.com. Stay tuned for more fun stories and entertainment. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.